Hi, this is Daniela Wolf with Bestie Life, the podcast, and this is your community to support you through the little and not so little events that make up your day-to-day life. From the I've got this moments to the I just can't moments. We are here to empower all women to find and develop the skills they need to find peace, balance, and the bliss in their busy. Through solo episodes as well as interviews with amazing women who share their journey and their story and how it works for you. I hope you find the inspirations to make you laugh, think, as well as maybe rethink what you thought you knew, and connect as we realize that we are all living similar ups and downs and don't have to do it alone. So excited for you to hear this episode, and thanks so much for joining me today. Hi, this is Daniela with Bestie Life, the podcast, and today I am so excited for you to meet Leanne Jamison. She is the founder of Essentially Zenful. She has been a licensed psychotherapist for 15 years. She's a certified holistic life coach, a women's empowerment expert, and so much more. She helps create a strong community of women who are looking to refine their spark and their passion and embrace their personal power and kind of cultivate their confidence and live their fullest and most courageous life on purpose. So thank you so much, Leanne, for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me, Daniela. It is such an honor to be here.
And I know that is just a tiny little speck of all the amazing things that you do and how you help women and how you got to this place. So if you can share a little bit more about your story, what led you from psychotherapy to coaching, and all the amazing ways that you help.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, absolutely. And hopefully something will resonate with somebody. And that's why we get into what we are doing, right? We talk about our story, our path, our guide, and offering that same, I always call it the experience, strength, and hope to other individuals. Like, we're just like you, right? Like we're all in this together. So
we're all a hot mess behind the scenes for sure.
Absolutely. And it was a hot mess to get here. And some days it still is. So yeah, I have been a licensed psychotherapist for now almost, oh my gosh, since 2006, actually. So I don't know, wow. I don't do math. So quite some time, and super grateful for that path. I went into the treatment field, so worked a lot with addiction and recovery, and climbed the corporate ladder there. And it was beautiful, right? I'm in the helping profession. I'm still as a coach in the helping profession. So I knew I was in the right space, but it was a long journey to get to be an entrepreneur and understand, like, there's nothing wrong with wanting something different or more. That has been my story, is that I always felt sort of like the black sheep, right? Yeah. All growing up, and even through my career, because I had different ways of thinking and they didn't really align with people. And that is what I find with a lot of entrepreneurs. All coaches, we go into business for ourselves, right? So, we just think differently. And sometimes that doesn't jive with people. So felt like that, on and off. But again, there were like blips of like, this is where I am, like, this is where I'm meant to be, because I was helping, right? And as coaches, that's all we want to do is help. We want to help, inspire, guide, empower, all that. So anyways, was doing that, climbed the corporate ladder to executive director of treatment centers. I looked at when you look on paper, right? It's just like check, 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 check. Okay. Oh, yeah. Awesome. I've made it, right? I've done it. I've done all the things. I've made it. I'm on my way. Maybe this will be like the final, my final stop. I was working for a great organization, the last organization I worked for, and I was still unhappy. And like for 10 years prior to going into my own business, or starting my own business, it was like dipping my toe in and out of entrepreneurship. I would, start a project or a passion project or a side gig or whatever. I was never really fully in. But anyway, so that was always part of my story. And I remember my husband, cause like anytime I wanted to start like a new adventure, right. Or a new idea of a business, he'd be like, oh, how long is this one going to last? Right. And I would that was sort of defeating. And I was just like, what's wrong with me? And he would always be like, why can't you just be happy with what you have? And it wasn't that I wasn't like, again, wonderful, healthy kids, marriage, like, financially stable and all of that. And I just still felt empty, right? I still felt like there was a part of me that wasn't being fulfilled. So anyways, that has been my story. And it was my last job in 2020 was my last corporate job. And it was probably 4 or 5 months into that job where I started feeling that way again of just like, what's next? Like, this isn't it, like, whatever. And during that time in 2019, my dad passed away suddenly. Right.
Oh,
So
geez,
sometimes it's like those, yeah, thank you. But it's like those things that have to shake your core, like you to your core, where it was just like, he was 57 and he was,
Yeah,
all of a
that's
sudden,
young. It's so young.
right. And like all of a sudden he got sick and he was in ICU for 40 days and then gone.
Oh
Right.
my
So,
gosh.
had some time to reflect of just like, that will make you think like, what am I doing with my life? If I'm not really happy, what is going on here? So offer a lot of gratitude for him. Not happy he's gone, happy that, I was able to make something out of it and create the life I have today because of it. And that has been a big part of my story because he was a very creative man. He struggled a lot and he I always say it's like he had a lot of lives unlived, right? Because he was so creative and he was always wanting to go out on his own and he never did. And I saw him suffering, right? He, ended up alcoholic. And I mean, so many things, very loving man and suffered. And I do believe that is because he wasn't living in full alignment with what he was meant to be, what he was meant to be doing. So anyways, that happened. I had the fire lit under my ass again. I hope I can swear here.
Yeah.
um,
Absolutely.
so I had that fire lit and, really lit my soul on fire, really, into what is possible. And, just starting to research and knowing that, I wanted to work with women. And I look at all of the, I want to say like my path and everything, all the suffering I went through to get to where I thought I was supposed to be and to be what I thought I was supposed to be for other people.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what my dad did too. So again, here we are. And I was just like, why I don't want all these other women to like go through this life with, thinking that they have to live a certain way and like this is going to be as good as it gets. So you might as well just suck it up, buttercup, like,
Right.
all of
Well,
those things.
and I think as a creative, as a multi-passionate, sometimes it can be hard for the people around us to see us transition through that creative process because when you're creative, it's not like you find that one spark and it's a done deal. It is such a process sometimes, and you evolve and grow into that fulfillment place that to watch people go through it, though, it can look scattered, it can look unintentional, it can look like flighty and you're just going from thing to thing. But I think to be able to see it in that different way can help people kind of trust the process a little bit.
Oh my gosh. Yes, yes, and yes. Because we're just trying to figure it out. We know that there's something missing and we're just like, what is that? What is that thing?
Or there could be more than one spark, like
Yes.
that's the thing. It could be like you have 3 different sparks and you kind of follow each of them.
Yes.
And sparks,
and like
just because they die out doesn't mean they weren't the right spark to follow at that time.
Yeah.
It's like a shooting star.
So true. So true. And one star, like one shooting star leads to another, or one path leads to another. And I think you're, like right on, like as a creative. And I think I equate that in my mind as a visionary, right? You have these visions of like how you want to change the world and things like that, where we have so many different ideas, but it's just like hard to try to funnel it down into like, well, okay, what's this one path? And then I can start like trying to figure out other things. But there's just so much we can do.
Right. It's not as clean as some of the traditional ones, like you said, where you check the boxes and they go in order and things like that. But it can still be just as fulfilling and just as even profitable and all of those things.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, I love that. So,
and that brings us to essentially Zenful now, which is your current baby, your current venture, which I love. Can you share all the amazing things you do? Because I know you've got programs and courses, and you speak, and you light up the room when you walk in as well.
oh, thank you. Yeah. And that's again, like when you talk about the creative, it's just like you can do so many things. And again, it looks scattered, but when you wrangle it all in, it's so cool. You can just put it under this umbrella and be like, these are all the things.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, essentially Zenful is a journey to authentic living. And that is truly what my mission is for. And I only work with women. So I always put that out there. I'm like, I strictly work with women. Because it's such a passion of mine, because I feel like there's that glass ceiling that has been put, there for us by society, by family, but also by ourselves, right? Sometimes we keep on hearing these things and we just limit ourselves immediately. And I'm like, no, don't do that. So that's where I created essentially Zenful, so that other women, could see, we could strip away some of those limiting beliefs and help them see some of their blind spots of where they were holding themselves back, because that's what I was doing, right? I had all these limitations in my head of like what I can do and what I can't do and how things should be. And I'm like, I had to strip it all away. Mm-hmm. So for women to be able to do that, and that's where my programs come in. So I have the Next Level Life Purpose program, which really looks at, again, it's like that foundation of integrating my own personal experience and work, because every good therapist has their own therapist. So I've been in therapy. So taking some of my own experiences as well as my professional experiences of like what I've seen work, and really, again, like shedding all of these different belief systems that no longer serve us, but also in that being able to embrace the ones that have, like, so I hear so many people talking about like breaking generational traumas and patterns, and that's definitely part of the work that we do as females, I believe, specifically, that helps us to actually see the other side of it, of all the sacrifices of the women that have come before us, and like celebrating that too. So it's a big celebration of what's possible for us. But yeah, so that's the Next Level Life Purpose program. And it was funny because a lot of the women that came into that program had realized that maybe they're not in the right space, and they actually are visionaries, right? Because we know like-minded people attract like-minded people. So, so then I created the Corporate to Coach for women who want to go into their own coaching business. And then just speaking, I have spoken at global conferences and women's empowerment and leadership, different conferences for recovery. Still, they want me to come in and talk about, empowerment in a way of recovery. And so, and then holding events, just different local events and, national events actually. And, going into retreats. I hold retreats for women empowerment and really focusing in on taking that, like whatever, there's so many different ways that, so many different retreats that I hold, but really it's all about going to that next level and really embracing your own personal power and taking courageous actions and knowing that you're meant to live this such like an expansive, beautiful life.
Yeah, no, and I love all of that. And I love the way you talk about, not just breaking the glass ceiling, but changing the narrative, changing the conversation. I was on, I don't know, Instagram or TikTok or something, and I saw this thing that said, back in like 1971, which is within my lifetime, women couldn't get their own credit card. Like, to think my mom couldn't have a credit card when I was a little kid, like, holy cow, like to think of that narrative that she lived within, and that's who raised our generation, is women who had these different limitations that we don't even realize when it comes to some of the freedom, some of the ability to speak our mind, to have this power, to have this ability to say, I want something different, is, part of what we're undoing, part of what we're changing the conversation around. And it is such a powerful process, but it is such a process too that you do need that community to support you, because it's easy to fall back into what you know.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I love that you bring up the community because that's truly what we're all, I'm seeing it more and more. I think you are too. It's
Mm-hmm.
just, and it's the people that we surround ourselves with that we are connecting, we're collaborating, we are meant to be in community as women. But when you talk about just like in 71, like
Yeah,
I was
it
just
wasn't
thinking,
that long ago. I mean, it can sound it depending on when you're born, but you know.
not. I don't believe, well, of course, right? I mean, our kids will probably look at us and be like, oh, wow, you're so old, but
I
but I just think about everything that my mother, and this was an interesting part of my path too. And this is where I hope to lead other women. And I don't hope to, we do go there of being able to, like, I was so angry at my mom, like, you limited me in this and da 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 da. Like, we just have
know.
the angsty whatever. There are different situations. I'm expecting it maybe with my daughter too, not maybe, sure.
Yeah.
But being able to see what she went through, like she was kicked out of the house when she was pregnant with me. And she was 19. She got pregnant with
Wow.
me at 18 and she was
Mm-hmm.
kicked out of the house because that was not okay with the Catholic
Mm-hmm.
religion. So I'm just like, oh my gosh, like the sacrifice that the
Right.
women before us have made for us to just be alive and have this opportunity to be like, I am not taking this anymore and I am going to live my life to the fullest and I deserve it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. But I think too, that's also where, we tried maybe to over succeed and over surpass too. So, there's definitely, I think, a middle ground with all of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. When I think about like the success and the succeeding and like the determination that I often look at is just like we've also, oh my gosh, this could go into a whole different thing, but just really quickly of just like
Yeah.
the more of like the masculine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of just like you have that drive, which is great, right? We need drive, but we also are very beautifully feminine where it's so important to like tap into just like it doesn't have to be hard. We're
Mm-hmm.
actually it can be loving and we can be inviting and we can actually just be
Yeah.
instead of constantly doing.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. So, as a mom, as an entrepreneur, as a wife, how do you take care of you? How do you set that tone and example in your own personal life? Because I know a lot of times, we can preach and we can talk and we can, coach, but then in our own lives, to make it real is so
Yeah.
important.
Yeah. Like, are you talking the talk and walking the walk?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
no, I think it's so important to share some of like the real parts of like the nitty-gritty of like where it is tough.
Mm-hmm.
And that really does help connect, the whole me too, right? Me too. That's like some of the strongest words of like,
Yes.
I see you, I hear you, I feel you, like we're here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely it's been a tough road. And I mean, there's still ups and downs. I can lean into my, my tools and everything of like gratitude and like really looking at the big picture and things like that. But there are some days where it's just like, what did I do?
I know.
What did I do?
How did I get here today? I do
Did
that
I
half
do
the
the
time when
right
I
thing?
walk into the room. I'm like, why am I here?
Let me just revisit this. What is my big why again? So it's definitely, and I would have to say the conversations like leading into making this leap into entrepreneurship and leaving a, quote unquote secure job. I don't believe, any job is
Nothing
really
secure.
secure.
Yeah.
So there have been a lot of boundaries put up. There was a lot of questioning. There was a lot of fear, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of fear with my family, with my mother, with my husband of like, oh, you're really doing this? Like I remember when I told my husband, I'm like, hey, once I hit this goal of like saving financially, I'm like out. I'm telling you, I'm putting in my resignation. And he I remember the day that it came, it was 6 months later. And I said, okay, I'm putting in my resignation tomorrow. He's like, wait, we didn't talk about this. I'm like, oh, yes, we did.
They never remember though.
he was like, we need to talk about this. I'm like, there's nothing to talk about. I'm like, okay, let's talk. But so, but there was a ton of fear, which then, comes back and it can come into our space and be like, oh my gosh, am I making the right decision? Like I'm doing this. And, of course, my mom and her fear. And she's like, what about health insurance? What about this? What about that? But also just, having those, there's so many difficult conversations that turn out beautiful, once you get to the other side, but, the fears that come up too, as an entrepreneur of financial, right?
Yeah.
I mean, truly it is both my husband and I mean, like when we do things all the way. I started my business, he started his business, and we both left corporate at the same time.
Wow. Big leaps.
Big leaps. So having those really, really difficult adult conversations of like, okay, what does this look like? How are we going to do this? Okay, this month was not as much as we thought. What are we going to do? How are we going to do, X, Y, and Z? But it was messy. There were times where I like cried and I screamed and, it just, gosh, I'm just trying to think of like pinpointing certain times where it was definitely interesting. Definitely interesting. So and again, mostly around finances. We moved too. So like within a year after starting our business, we moved back home. So we were in Georgia for 20 years. We moved back to Buffalo. And it was messy. It was scary. I will say that was probably one of the most difficult transitions I have been through. I think my husband's still going through that because he works away. Anyways, that's his whole thing. But for me, moving back home, even though it was intentional, it was exciting. It was just like leaving corporate. It was intentional. It was exciting. It was scary. There was grief because of what for so long and then what you're stepping into. And it's funny because a lot of times because we make intentional decisions, we feel like we can't grieve over the things that we're leaving. Right. I don't know if you've had that, right? Where it's just like, you don't give yourself the space because it's like, well, everybody's like, well, this is what you wanted, isn't it? It's like, well, yeah, but like I had this whole life. Like,
no, you can make choices and changes and pivot and still be sad that you've lost certain other aspects, even though you couldn't stay there anymore. Whether it's a relationship, even friendships, which can be hard because there isn't always like a set reason, it's not like a breakup with a relationship or anything like that. But sometimes, things run their course and that's okay. I was listening. I'm going to hate the fact that I can't remember this gentleman's name. He wrote this book and it had to do with the Japanese art of like, getting rid of things and purging and minimalism and things like that. And he talked about it not just in terms of possession, but in terms of the other things in our lives, jobs, different people, different things. Just because they're over doesn't mean they weren't what you needed. And just because you've changed your goal doesn't mean that was a wrong goal before, or different things like that.
Yeah, there's this whole process of releasing that I don't think we give ourselves enough space for.
Yeah.
Or even talk about it because again, we've just been told,
well, and you're letting go of a different version of you, so you're grieving that person still.
Yes, 100%. That relationship, the identity, we talk about identities of like what identities are we moving, elevating to, and which ones are we, just like sort of releasing, and not all aspects of that identity. Like you're not like just being like, oh, that never existed. It was just like, this is a big part of me. And right. It's like shedding skin and,
it's part of the empty nest thing. Even like I'm at place, my kids are older, my last one's leaving, and even though I'm still a mom, that's not who I would say identify with first, because it's not part of that every single day, from the moment I get up to the moment I go to bed. And, I miss that sometimes, I still, when my kids call, it's their little versions of themselves when they were younger that calls me, like that's the picture that pops up, because it's like, I love who they are now, but I do, you miss those other versions of people, and you can miss that version of yourself too.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So beautifully said. And just giving yourself the space to do that. And not everybody's going to understand. And that is part of the expansion, is just there is so much releasing. And that's why we hold on so long, because sometimes we hold on so long because we're afraid to lose the relationship with ourselves, because we don't know who we're going to be in this new version. We're afraid to lose the relationships that we have with our significant others or, extended family and things like that. I know that's everything that I went through. And every time we up level, every time we expand to like this higher identity or higher vision, I always call it the higher version of ourselves. It's this, all of these fears start to like well up, right? Like it's like every single insecurity all at once.
Yeah. And change is scary, but can be so powerful and so good, because it's not always a loss, even though just because it's different, it might feel that way, and I think that's why it's part of your self-care is to keep growing and keep evolving and up leveling, because we're not meant to always be exactly the same as who we were 20 years ago.
Exactly. And how do you take care of yourself through those transitions, right? What added support? I always joke around with the women in my program. They're like, who do you have? I'm like, I have a team, ladies. Like I have a team. I have a spiritual team, first of all, all my spiritual guides. I'm like, I have a Reiki master. I have my energetic healer. I'm like, these are the people that are part of my life. I have my, the groups that I'm in, the women networking groups that I'm in, and my coaching program. I'm like, there is a team. It takes a team every time, right? As we're growing and expanding and evolving. I always joke, like, who's your team? Who's going to be there to support you?
And it could be a mix of in-person, virtual, mentors even that you're not even directly in contact with, but you're taking in their content, you're following them, or you hire a coach, or you find that team to help you up level, because it is not meant to be a solo journey. Even though you're the only one effective and everyone has their own individual journey, individual doesn't mean alone.
No, not at all. It's more like personalized. Like you have a personalized one and you're not supposed to do it alone. And I mean,
and you're going to help other people on their journey.
Exactly. And that's where it's beautiful, is that and here's the thing, is that we're all so unique and similar, right? I always say that the universal language is emotion, right? Like you may have been in a different situation, but you can feel fear. Like I felt fear. And we have that common language of like, yes, I know. I know.
Yes. Or even they say, like to go and watch a comedy at a movie theater together with people, and you leave with a connection with those people because of that shared laughter and that shared experience, and so you can find ways to create that connection even with a room full of people you don't know.
100%. I always say like music is so healing.
Yes, a concert
so healing.
Or anything,
concerts, whenever I love looking around at a concert and watching everybody flow together, that just like makes my heart, I get goosebumps and I get tears in my eyes every time I see that. I'm like, I'm part of something so big. But we're all here together. It's just the coolest experience. And there's so much research on like the need for connection and the need for community as we're growing and expanding. There's so many. It's we used to think of it as like that survival of the fittest and stuff, and that's not. It's actually survival together. We go further together, connected, and that's where we're meant to be. And
that's beautiful. I love that. That's so well said. So what would you say are the things that you're the most grateful for? I always love asking my guests that, because I think gratitude is such a big part of self-care. And I know you kind of mentioned that.
100%. Yes. Keep a gratitude journal. And oh my gosh, there's so many things that I'm grateful for, right? I'm grateful for my kids' health, grateful for the fact that I get to wake up with them and go to bed with them, like not in the same bed, but like when I was in corporate, I was out the door before they even woke up, or, they were just waking up, and then I would get home close to bedtime, you know, and so just being able to do that. And it's funny, I was, I remember posting a gratitude. This was years ago, probably like 3 years ago, about me, bringing my kids to school. I'm like, I'm so excited that I get to bring my kids to school. And somebody's like, oh my gosh, that's like such a pain in the ass for me. I'm just like, perspective, right? Where it's just like, I wasn't able to do this for like 12 years, 13 years. Like, I don't even, how old's my daughter? 15. Right. So it was seriously, that's what it was. So it's the gratitude of just being able to, work and expand my business from home, and the gratitude for social media. I know some people, I was like, it's the bane of our existence, but I'm like, if you utilize it and you surround your, I have a client in Scotland, right?
Wow.
And how it's connected so many women in my free group. Like there's people from Fiji and Alaska, and then there's people from Hawaii, there are people from the UK. It's just so cool when you can find that group. So anyways, yeah, and I'm always grateful for, the way that my body supports me, because I wasn't always very nice to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
the things that it does for me and how it allows me to run with my kids and take my kids places and swim and, do the things that I love to do and cycle, and so much to be grateful for. Sometimes it's very, very simple of just like, I'm really grateful for the roof over my head. Like, and this is
Mm-hmm.
because I struggle with depression.
Yeah.
So, having some of those low dips, it's like, what, like, I am really clinging on to this gratitude of like, I'm grateful for running water. I'm grateful for clean water. I am grateful for
Mm-hmm.
the roof over my head that keeps me warm. So getting down to the basics too. But gratitude is definitely, it has been a part of my world for a very long time, and has gotten me to a fear and scarcity place, from a fear and scarcity place to a place of abundance and faith.
Right. No, that's fantastic. And definitely it's those seemingly mundane things that can have the most meaning for sure.
Yes. Yeah.
So where can women find you? How can they connect with you and work with you?
Oh, if you go to easyliving.space,
Mm-hmm.
it is the letter E, the letter Z, living, all one word, .space.
Okay.
And that is my website. You can also find me on Essentially Zenful on Facebook. I have a Facebook page. I have a Facebook profile, Essentially Zenful. I always forget to like tell people too when I'm reaching out to them. They just see Essentially Zenful and I just start talking. They're like, and by the way, what's your name? I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. My name's Leanne.
No.
So yes. So you can find me there. You can find me on Instagram, Leanne Jamison at Essentially Zenful. So we're all over the place. Also, I have my own podcast at Crooked Talk Straight, where I have a co-host, Katie Myers, who is another wonderful human being. So lots of different places if you ever want.
Great. And I will have the links for those all live in the show notes below. So thank you
So
so much, Leanne, for joining me today. This was amazing.
thank you so much for having me. It has been an honor, truly, truly, to just chat with you and just be around in your space and your energy. So thank you.
Thanks so much again for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please let me know any questions or comments that you have. Also, if you can please leave an Apple 5-star review so that this episode can be shared with more women. There's 2 quotes that I love. Alone we may be strong, but together we are stronger, as well as when women support each other, incredible things happen. So let's be stronger and incredible together, as well as maybe just have some fun along the way. Thanks so much and talk to you soon. Bye.